The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
Feed me the show, please. I'm Vinnie Politan. Welcome to Vinnie Politan Investigates. And tonight, the subject of our investigation is Lori Daybell. We've been following this story, this case, this saga, this tragedy for years. And tonight, we're going to dive into that. For those of you not familiar with Lori Daybell, here's the story.
In one of the most haunting sagas of faith, manipulation, and death, Lori Vallow Daybell and Chad Daybell became household names for all the wrong reasons. Lori, once a suburban mother, was lured deeper into Chad's apocalyptic visions, a self-proclaimed prophet who preached of dark spirits and a coming end of days. Their union spiraled into a chilling nightmare. Lori's two children, J.J. Vallow and Colby Ryan, vanished in 2019, sparking nationwide headlines and a desperate search for these missing children. Months later, their remains were discovered buried in Chad's Idaho backyard, a revelation that stunned the nation. Chad's first wife, Tammy Daybell, had also died suddenly. Her death later ruled suspicious. Together, Lori and Chad stood accused of weaving twisted religious beliefs into a justification for murder, erasing anyone who stood in their way. Their story is one of obsession, control, and the destruction of innocent lives, leaving a trail of grief and a courtroom filled with unanswerable questions.
A lot of unanswerable questions, you know, when you talk about the why of this, but that's part of the investigation. I want to zero in on Lori Daybell because I didn't know her years ago. I only got to know her after everything happened. But I want to take a look at this. This is Lori on Wheel of Fortune, right? This is back in, 2004? You're going to see that. Then you're going to see her again in 2023. It's like a before and after. Take a look.
Hi, how you doing, Lori? Lori Ryan from Austin, Texas.
That's right.
Hairstylist in Austin, hey?
That's right, the best.
How's the hair in Austin?
It's good.
Good.
Us is a happening place.
Probably thanks to you.
Pretty much.
Talk about your family a little bit.
I have a wonderful husband, Joseph, at home, who is watching our two beautiful children, Colby, who's 7, and Tylee, who is 1.
Yeah, what do you guys like to do for fun?
We like to play all kinds of sports on our 3 acres.
Okay, sounds like you have a nice life there.
We do.
I was told by Jesus that I needed to go back and complete things that I had covenanted or promised to do before I was born. This caused me a lot of distress because I knew heaven was my real home, and I only wanted to be there. I was free from pain, emotional and physical. But then I was shown how I would help my children and others in the future. So ultimately, I did agree to go back to my body.
Those are two different people. Those are absolutely two different people. And that brings us to the first question in our investigation. And it's all about Lori Daybell. What happened to Lori? How do you go from what we saw in 2004, I mean, completely normal, to what we saw in 2023 and everything surrounding it? Joining us tonight to answer this question, we have with us to my left, Nate Eaton, the news director, reporter, storyteller for EastIdahoNews.com. Broke the story, covered it more in depth than anyone. To my right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Colby Ryan, the only surviving child of Lori Daybell, creator and host of the Scar Wars podcast and YouTube channel. Colby, thank you so much for joining us. And to his right, the lead investigator in the case from the Rexburg Police Department, Lieutenant Ray Hermosillo. Thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And Colby, I think for all of us, you knew her. Like, it's your mom.
Yeah.
When you look back and saw her from 2004 to 20, what happened?
I think a slow process of a lot of different things, but yeah, I mean, you can say it's two different people. I think she was this super bubbly, fun person that everybody liked to be around, to being the leader of, our co-leader of a cult that is willing to harm people and take their lives to get what they want. So,
was there, when was the moment? Because there had to be a moment at some point where in your mind you're like, wait a minute, something's going on here. Something's wrong with my mother.
When I fully realized how bad the scale of it was is when Nate saw her in Hawaii and was interviewing her, and I saw her and I knew she had run away, and it had been months since we had talked, and that's when I knew it was really bad. That's when I knew.
And was there anything in the behavior or conversations before then that changed? Like at that point, you know there's something's terribly wrong with the children being missing.
Right.
But in the way that she communicated, spoke to you, or, you know, I don't know, was there any sort of detection from you that wait, that's not my mom?
Right, yeah. I mean, she got more religious over time, but I mean, really when she was in jail is when I spent the most time talking to her after she had already disappeared. Then she goes and gets arrested. That's when I had the time with her, and that's when I tried asking those questions, and she had a really good front. So to be honest with you, I was confused more than anything. After they found the kids, everything changed. So that's when I knew.
I should ask you at the top, how are you doing?
I'm all right.
You're okay?
Yeah, I am.
Good.
I'm doing a lot better now. It's been a lot of years, and after these trials, I'm able to close the book on that part of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a dad, right?
Yeah.
How are the kids?
Good.
Good?
They're doing really good.
That's the smile I like to see.
Yeah.
Nate, I mean, you got to sit down and do the interview with her.
Yeah.
Obviously, you didn't know her beforehand, but you have studied every facet of her life. What do you think happened to Lori?
I don't know if it was one big thing that suddenly changed her, much of what Colby was saying. I think it was a series of events. She became obsessed with the end of times. She started reading book after book after book, and gradually she wanted to feel that she was somehow called of God to do these type of things. Even today, 3 hours ago, she sent me a message. She knew that I was going to be here with Colby. And I told Colby, I said, your mom sent me a message, and it said, tell Colby I love him no matter what, and have him read Matthew 25.
Wow.
So even today, she's sending messages to Colby saying it's all about religion. No apology, no anything like that. So I don't know when the big shift happened, but it seemed to be gradual.
Now, let me ask you this. You said books. Was it just the Chad Daybell books?
No, from everything I've understood and from everybody I've talked to, it was a different sort of books. Chad wrote fictional type books in the beginning at least, and then End of Times, but it was other books. It was the whole topic. If someone wrote a near-death experience book, she wanted to read it. If it was End of Times, she wanted to read it.
All right, Lieutenant, obviously this tragedy, right? The loss of these children. An amazing work, by the way.
Thank you.
You know, people looked at this case, they said, oh, it's in this small town in Rexburg. Oh, this is going to be a disaster. No, it was anything but a disaster. It was incredible work that you guys did, and gals. Lori Daybell, like, how long did it take you to understand, you know, what you were dealing with Lori?
You know, it took us a little while because she really wasn't communicating with us. And so everything we were getting, all the information we were getting was third party. It wasn't until we started listening to jail phone calls between her and Chad that we finally heard her speak really for the first time and kind of gathered where her mindset was sitting in jail when she was joking around or singing on the phone to Chad. You know, those type of things weren't normal behavior when you're sitting in jail and you have 2 kids missing.
Yeah. So, Colby, what are your thoughts about Lori sending those messages, trying to reach out to you? Are they welcomed?
No.
No?
There's nothing there. I mean, I spoke with her on the last time I spoke with her was through the interview that I did with her on my channel. And when I gave her the freedom to say anything she wants, tell me the truth, Lori. Tell me everything. I will let you talk and I will listen. She chose to lie about my sister and say that she killed JJ and she she chose to go that route and blame someone else rather than take any responsibility. So there's nothing to discuss. And for me, it just shows that she has reinforced her own delusion to herself, I think as a survival technique or something, but there can never be a relationship. There's nothing there.
I feel like you're in a position, I've lost my parents, right? So when I think of my parents, I don't think at the end of their lives.
Right.
I think of everything else. What's it like for you? Do you think back to when you were younger and mom was mom, or do you just kind of not think about that at all?
I think when you have such a drastic change, I can appreciate and enjoy the good times that we had in life. But when I think of Lori, I think of someone who's passed away. And I've just let that part of me grieve her in the past, and now I'm at a point where I'm healing from that as well. So I know she's alive, I know she's in jail, but I don't really think about her at all, to be honest with you.
Lieutenant, what was the most, because I'm sure through the years you've investigated a lot of things, and a lot of, you know, investigators can get a little hardened about things, and nothing surprises me, nothing shocks me. Was there anything or any moment when you're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe what I just found out during the course of this investigation?
That's a good question. I mean, originally it was every day early on in the investigation, from when we heard about zombies and bugs crawling in your ear to take over the body, and just kind of their belief system. And then shortly after all that happened, Alex Cox passed away. And it was just a whirlwind and all these things were happening at one time. So one day to the next, it seemed like at every turn there was always a surprise. So yeah, I mean, that whole thing in the very early stages of the investigation, we were surprised daily.
Yeah. How about you, Nate? Like, any idea? I know for us at Court TV, and we were relying on what this guy is reporting to try to get some understanding of this story, the case, the investigation, and the tragedy. For you, did you have any idea, like the first time you covered the story, that it could end up to like where we are right now?
No way in the world. And in a way, I'm kind of glad, because it probably would have scared me to death.
Yeah.
And in those early days after we went to Hawaii and found Lori and Chad, Alex, we didn't know what was happening. We didn't know who was on the hit list. I mean, Detective Hermosillo, he was the darkest of the dark on Lori's list. You know what?
Really?
Well, you know what happened to dark people?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not around much longer. He was on the dark list. I was worried, was I on the dark list? What was happening when Chad and Lori were still out? So, yeah, as he said, we were learning new things every day. It wasn't until both Chad and Lori were in jail that it was kind of like, and that was after the kids were found that week, that it was like, okay.
Everyone remembers that day.
Yeah.
That day. Okay. We've got more to get to. We've got a live studio audience here who has questions and comments. When we come back, we'll hear from them. We are live at CrimeCon 2025. What are your thoughts about Lori Daybell?
Well, I mean, the interviews she's been doing, I think that kind of speaks for themselves, don't you think? A little crazy.
The Court TV Podcast will return.
This is a loaded question for you. Lori Daybell, what are your thoughts of her?
I'm glad that her cases are over. I'm excited about a Lori-free future. We have no litigation on the horizon to look forward to. And, you know, I didn't even watch the video of her extradition that you guys posted until a week after, because I really just didn't care. And once I did watch it, it was, you know, her histrionics again, breathing the fresh air and pretending to just be everything's wonderful and hunky-dory.
Tell us all from the inside one thing about Lori Daybell that the public doesn't really know.
She's deeply, deeply insecure.
That's Megan Connor, Lori Daybell's cousin, who is here at CrimeCon. We're live at CrimeCon 2025. I spoke with a bunch of people today because, you know, this story transcended true crime for years, and everybody has an opinion. Here's some of what some of the folks on the floor here had to say. Thoughts about Lori Daybell?
Guilty. I think she's crazy. Yeah, sick, crazy, out of her mind.
What questions do you have about Lori Daybell?
I watch so much court TV that I just know everything.
Great answer, by the way.
I'm confused.
By her.
Yes.
By what she did.
Yes.
She's a disgrace. My name's Lori, and it disgusts me. Everything that she did.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know Lori? And that brings us to the next question in our investigation, and it's about you. What do you want to know about Lori Daybell? And we've got our live studio audience here that has some questions and comments, and we're beginning right here. Good evening. Let me get on this side. It'll be easier. Question, comment?
So from all three of you, do you think she believes her religious delusion, or she's using it as a manipulation tactic?
I think she believes it, at least most of it. But I also think she uses it to manipulate people, so kind of both.
I mean, she's going to use that as her excuse to, I think, use the evil in her heart.
I would echo what Nate said. She honestly believes it, and she uses it to manipulate people.
What did you think?
I think she's using it to manipulate people.
Yeah.
I think she just, like, over the years used her beauty, her fame, like, just how beautiful she was, and she realized how to use her sex and her sexy appeal.
Yeah, I agree. Another question.
Well, first I wanted to make a comment.
Sure.
When I see clips of Daybell, he just seems like he has no charisma at all. I don't even see how a dog would follow the guy, much less a group of women. So my question for Colby, when you first met Chad, what was your impressions of him?
I think the first time everybody in this room was here, and I've never met him, but I walked by, and I was told, do not look at him. And I just had to do one look, and right when I looked at him, he looked very scared. And so I thought, there's nothing there. You know, I don't get it, but that's it.
Nate, how did he get all these women to follow him?
Well, I don't know how many women actually were following him. There were a handful, of course. Yeah, maybe 3 or 4. You're right, he's not charismatic. His writing isn't the best. His speaking isn't the best. What kind of amazed me is the transformation of Chad from when we first saw his driver's license photo when they said he was missing till weeks later in Hawaii. He looked like a different man. His hair was done. He was in shorts, flip-flops.
Lost weight?
He lost weight. He had a tan. Lori really was putting him on, I think it came out at the trial, the Lori diet, the Lori health plan. So he really did change himself. But yeah, not a charismatic guy.
Yeah, I think it was, middle-aged crazy. A little early. He got early middle-aged crazy. We've got another question. Yes.
I'm curious, and this is for anybody and everybody on the panel. When the final sentence is imposed upon Chad Daybell, how do you think that will impact Lori? Will she become more religious? Will she, at one time she was incompetent to stand trial. Could that be, will she break her? Will it,
And when you say final sentence, you mean death chamber?
Yes.
Okay. What are your thoughts here, Lieutenant?
I couldn't hear the question.
The question is, how do you think Lori will react the day Chad Daybell is executed? What will her reaction to that be?
There were only a few times we really saw any change in behavior in Lori. And one of those times is when Chad was arrested on June 9th in 2020. So I think you're going to see some type of emotion from Lori just because of how she was June 9th when he was arrested.
What do you think, Colby? How do you think Lori will respond, or you don't even want to think about it?
I think that she actually cares about him for whatever reason, so I think she'll definitely have some kind of reaction, or maybe she'll be thinking they're waiting in heaven together. I don't know. It's just a crazy thought. I don't know.
Nate, how do you think she's going to react to that?
She told me during an interview with me a month ago that they would be exonerated. I said, will that be before Chad is executed? And she went, yes, Nate. Yes, it will be. And she, so when that day comes, that will be fascinating to see.
Okay, we've got another question right here.
Mine is, you know, we talk about mental health and we talk about Lori Daybell being maybe the manipulator or manipulated, but it's kind of, she had 5 husbands, so she definitely was a manipulator, but I think it did go both ways. And then the other one is for you. We don't know much about your personal life compared to, are you married? Do you have children? We know about Colby and we know about Nate, but...
I am married and have 2 kids. Yep.
Very nice. I'm not looking.
Dang.
I thought we had a whole different show about to happen right here at CrimeCon. I want to take the opportunity to, Lieutenant, incredible work. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's a busy, they do so much here at CrimeCon. I know it's been tiring, but we appreciate you coming on. Nate Eaton, I just want to shake your hand. This guy is journalist with capital J, okay? And finally, Colby, you know that everyone you meet here tonight, their hearts are with you, and I hope that gives you some strength. And don't forget to hug your kids.
Yeah.
I know you won't. I know you won't. All right, folks, we've got more to get to. When we come back, we're going to talk about an unsolved case out of Colorado. The biggest unsolved case out of Colorado. JonBenet Ramsey, her dad, will join us next.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of our investigation here live at CrimeCon 2025 is, let me tell you, this case, you talk about true crime, you talk about mysteries, you talk about tragedy, you talk about heartbreak. It's the biggest of the big. It's obviously the biggest in Colorado, but I would argue historically, working at Court TV all these years, this is the one case that time and time again, people are like, when will there be an answer? And obviously, I'm talking about the case of JonBenet Ramsey. For those of you who don't recall some of those details, here's the story.
On Christmas night, 1996, the quiet wealth of Boulder, Colorado, was shattered by a mystery that still chills America. JonBenet Ramsey, a 6-year-old beauty queen with a radiant smile and glittering stage presence, was found brutally murdered in the basement of her family's grand home. Hours earlier, her mother, Patsy Ramsey, had called 911, hysterical over a chilling ransom note demanding $118,000, the same amount as her husband John's work bonus. Why would someone leave a rambling ransom note in a case where the child was murdered and left inside the home? It did not make sense. Through the years, detectives clashed, evidence was mishandled, and leads went cold. Nearly 3 decades later, the case remains unsolved. But it's a case that seemingly could be solved through forensic evidence and upgraded DNA technology. The question is, will JonBenet ever get justice?
And again, this is a story. I've been at Court TV a long time, and this has been a story throughout my career at Court TV. There were some big moments where, there was some hope, but it never really happened. And it's confusing because it seems like it's a case that is solvable. Well, guess what, folks? There's a new chief in Boulder, Colorado, in charge of the police department, who are in charge of this investigation. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Well, I was not at Boulder Police 28 years ago. I have worked in policing for more than 20 years, and I want to assure you that our agency is committed to doing everything we can to bring justice to JonBenet and hold her killer responsible. So much of how law enforcement works has changed in the last 30 years. There are a number of things that people have pointed to throughout the years that could have been done better, and we acknowledge that is true. However, it is important to emphasize that while we cannot go back to that horrible day in 1996, our goal is to find JonBenet Ramsey's killer. Our commitment to that has never wavered.
And that brings us to the first question in this investigation. And it's about the investigation. What's the latest in the investigation of JonBenet's murder? There has to be some progress, doesn't there? They've got to be doing something different. Joining me to help answer that question, JonBenet's dad, John Ramsey, is with us. John, thank you so much for joining us. Great to see you again. Great to check in with you. Also with us is Paula Woodward, Emmy Award-winning investigative reporter, author of We Have Your Daughter, The Unsolved Murder of JonBenet Ramsey, and has been on the story since the beginning. Paula, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Let me start with you, John. What is the latest in the investigation?
Well, that's a big question that I don't have a great answer for. We met with the chief of police yesterday.
Yesterday you met with the chief?
Yes.
Okay.
And we met with him back in January and got an update to the degree we could. You know, they're very, they don't tell us a lot. And I respect that because that's how a police department should operate. But we still want to know. I wish they'd call me every day and tell me what was going on. But the first thing that had happened in that police department was a new chief. They suffered from very poor leadership for years, in my opinion. And nothing was going to happen until we got a new leadership from outside the system. A number of their detectives were recommended for termination, including the one that handled our case for 25 years. That had to happen. He's gone. There's a new detective. I've met him. He's a very, very sharp fellow, good experience. All that had to happen before anything was going to move forward. And so that was a big step. We've been advocating to the police, to chief of police, that this DNA technology has advanced so far. The last DNA testing done in our case was about, 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
Wait. So the last testing was 9 years ago?
Right.
The technology changes like year to year.
Every day, yeah.
Let me ask Paul this. Are you surprised? You're there day one. Are you surprised we're still here 2025 and we don't have an answer?
You know, I've been fairly relentless on this case because I'm very pro law enforcement. But Boulder police have done so much wrong, and they continue to do that wrong. And I want to keep the publicity up on them and have you good people help because there needs to be pressure on them to do the right thing. So far, they still aren't.
Okay, now, John, we're here at CrimeCon, right? There's a lot of experts and people talking about different ways to investigate cases. I bumped into a man named Jared Bradley, who has a company. I want you to take a look at what he does, and I want to get your reaction to it. Right. Take a look. We're here with Jared Bradley. Jared, you've got this incredible machine, new technology in DNA. What is it?
So this is called the MVAC system. It basically works like a medical grade carpet cleaner. It sprays the sterile solution down onto the surface and then vacuums it up. So whatever DNA is on the surface, it'll penetrate down into the cracks and crevices where the DNA might be, and it gets way deeper than the traditional methods like swabbing.
Right. So what you're telling me is we can take old evidence and retest it and find DNA that we couldn't find before?
Absolutely.
Wow.
The FBI even tested it, showed that even after swabbing, it still collects up to 66 times more than what the swab originally did.
All right, you're going to do a demo for us.
Yes, sir.
All right, tell me what you're doing here.
Okay, so I've already pressurized the solution. So basically, this is the actual collection device. This is the solution that gets sprayed down. This is what's called an extension tubing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the vacuum on, and then I'm going to turn the spray on. It's going to spray in the middle and then vacuum along the outside. And that's kind of what creates a little mini hurricane down there that enables the DNA to be collected. So you can see it spraying there, and then it just sucks it up. So I'm going to get all this surface area here. Now, if I want to actually get DNA all off of this hat, I can just spread it down there. I can turn the liquid on, and then it just gets down into the fibers where the DNA is going to be attached, and it just gets a lot deeper. Just like a carpet cleaner is going to collect a lot better than what a broom would on this carpet here. So, all
right, you collect it. Then what do you do with it?
Once it's collected, it's a great question. It's right now all the DNA is suspended right here in the bottle. Okay, So I'm going to take this bottle off. It's a two-step process, so I'm going to take this bottle off. This is what we call our liquid gold, because we got all our DNA stuff in there. And then this is a 0.45 micron filter, and I'm going to take this vacuum line off. Put the vacuum line onto the filter. Now, because the goal is to get rid of all the liquid, but keep all the DNA. So I'm going to swirl this around a little bit, pour it right over the top of this filter. You're going to see all the liquid's going to flow through it. So now all the liquid's gone, but all the DNA is right there, and you can see just some little fibers and things from that hat.
Oh, wow. And is that getting trapped on that surface?
Right, so all the DNA right now is trapped on that surface, and this is what we actually send to the lab, and they process it basically the same way that they do a swab or anything else.
Is this being used right now?
All the time, yes.
And what kind of results are we getting?
Fantastic results. The oldest cold case that we've helped solve is 56 years.
Wait a minute, you took a piece of evidence from 5+ decades ago,
Yes.
retested it with this machine, and were able to solve the case.
Yes.
That's amazing. And who are you working with?
We work with all sorts of crime labs, all sorts of agencies, both private and public crime labs. But I know one particular crime lab down in Florida has told us that they have solved, just their lab, over 700 cases with the MBAT.
Wow. Have you spoken to John Ramsey at all about the JonBenet case?
Not personally, but I've talked to a lot of people about that case. We'd love a shot at it.
Yeah, absolutely. So great to meet you. Thanks for the demo.
Oh, my pleasure.
Amazing technology that we're seeing here at CrimeCon. What do you think, John?
Well, you know, Lou Smith, the legendary detective that was brought in on this case by the DA early on, solved over 200 homicides in his career, was in retirement. And he spent months looking at the case and told me, I don't know, a year or two later when I really had to know him, he said, this case will be solved by DNA, period.
Period.
Period. And
there still is evidence to test, right? They've kept all
as far as we know. Well, there's two things that have to happen. Obviously, if there's evidence that still needs to be tested, obviously that should be tested. But more importantly, to be able to take advantage of this forensic, it's a mouthful, forensic genealogy research, basically, we have to retest it and get the sample in a different format to be compatible with the vast database of DNA samples that are out there. That has to happen. And to
your knowledge, that hasn't happened yet?
Correct. To my knowledge, no.
Paul, do you think it's going to happen?
I don't know. I don't understand why they're not seemingly doing anything, but that's been their modus operandi since the very beginning. What they're doing and what they're not doing does not make sense. And it's very discouraging. It's very frustrating to them. They're not getting justice. What's wrong with testing the DNA? What's wrong with testing the crime scene items? We're the ones who came up with the list for them of what hadn't been tested or was partially tested.
Are you serious?
Yes.
You had to give the list?
We gave it to the state, and the state gave it to Boulder Police.
Wow. So, what's the explanation? Like, why all of this wouldn't be done? We cover cases every day, cold cases. This is solved, that is solved. I mean, they're prosecuting people off of pieces of pizza crust because they're using all the technology.
No. The fundamental reason for 27 years was the police believed that it was either Patsy or I that killed her daughter. They just didn't know which one. We were in the house, must have been the parents. That was their sole focus. And so none of this was done because in their minds, they knew the answer. And despite the evidence, despite DNA, despite fingerprints, I mean, so they just didn't do it. Why do it? They know the answer.
Yeah.
And that's why this new chief of police coming in is so important. That group mentality, groupthink mentality was just poisonous.
And I think a little bit of pride gets into that too, right?
Oh, sure.
Like, you're not going to tell us we were wrong about what we thought. You can't change our mind.
That's huge. You know, the police made up their mind the first day that we were guilty. before any evidence was retrieved. You know, the forensic people that came in retrieved some good evidence. They found unidentified male DNA on JonBenet's underwear and so forth. But they'd made up their mind. And now we just got to wrap it up. Figure out which pair was it, which one it was.
Unbelievable. All right, stay where you are. Our guests, our experts are staying with us. When we come back, what do you want to know about the JonBenet Ramsey investigation? We've got a live studio audience filled with questions, answers when we return.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
What are your thoughts about the JonBenet case, the JonBenet murder?
They will find the culprit. It was not the family.
I believe that this might be the year. I do not believe anybody in the family was involved, and I think DNA is going to be the answer to this.
I am still surprised at how much was fumbled early on in the story. I don't think we have all the answers still yet, and there's so many people close to the Ramseys that I wish had been looked into a little bit more.
A lot of chatter when I was asking the question about JonBenet Ramsey, because this is a true crime convention. These folks know the story. Even the younger true crime junkies here know the JonBenet story, and everyone is hopeful that there's some solution to all of it, and most people are puzzled why it hasn't happened yet. Take a listen. Any lingering questions about the case, the investigation?
Yeah, was it linked to the girl that was the case that was down the street kind of thing?
I have questions about the friend of John Ramsey who they kind of got in an argument and stopped speaking, and I'm sorry I don't remember the name right now, but I would like to hear more from him and kind of their relationship and what actually caused them to no longer speak.
And that brings us to the next question in our investigation. And again, it's about you. What do you want to know about the JonBenet investigation? And we've got our live studio audience here staying with us, and they've got some questions. We'll begin over here. Question, comment about the investigation?
Well, like I was talking about you guys earlier, that it seems that DNA can still solve cases 30, 40, 50 years old. They always have an excuse about it, even after you offered to do the DNA testing. You think there's any chance at all that they've lost it and they're just covering their butts?
Oh, wow. Wow.
Serious question. And I've wondered that because there's no reason not to do this at this point in time.
Yeah.
And you know, I've never asked them that directly, and I should have probably. Have you lost it?
I'll do it.
Not.
Oh, no, I'm asking.
Yeah, please do. You know, I tried to respect their integrity and not insult them, but that's crossed my mind.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Paula, investigative reporter, any chance that you could get the answer or that it happened?
I think there's a very good chance. Why have they've been stalling for so long? Why aren't there answers? I have no idea if they have this minuscule amount of DNA or not, but why are you stalling? And when you've got a company like Autumn, they have a booth here, excellent company, and they said, yes, they can test the DNA without losing any DNA. And they are the experts in the world. So you certainly have to ask that question. Great question.
Yeah, that was a fantastic question. It's a hard act to follow, but come on, give it a shot.
How am I going to compete with that, Vinny? Hi, Mr. Ramsey. It's been a pleasure to meet you this weekend. I really enjoyed speaking with you last night. My question's a little unconventional, but will you share a little something with us about JonBenet, maybe about your special relationship with her?
She was named after me. My middle name is Bennett.
Okay.
And so Patsy came up with this JonBenet. We had good friends that felt that they should name their children unusual names, which they would help them go through school and teachers would remember. And so Patsy was convinced that was a great idea. So she came up with JonBenet as a name for JonBenet. We call her JB, but she was very proud of that. she was named after her dad, and I was
That's very sweet.
thankful that
Thank
she
you.
was proud of that.
Thank you. My heart
We
goes
had a
out
very
to you.
special bond. It was unusual close. I mean, I'd lost my oldest daughter, Beth, in a car accident.
Remember that?
A couple of years before that, and JonBenet just stuck with me like glue, and it was a real blessing to me that she gave me almost like extra attention.
It's a very important relationship, though,
Yeah,
a daughter
she was-
and her father. Yeah.
And she got older, and then she became very close to Patsy, but for that little period of time when it really meant something to me because of my loss of Beth, having JonBenet just hang on to me was really...
Thank you so
God
much.
bless you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Ramsey. First of all, sorry for your loss. But my question would be, is there any chance that there would be some DNA available now in the home that you
Boy,
could
I'm
go
sorry,
back to?
I can't quite hear.
Any DNA potentially at the home still all these years later inside the house?
I doubt it, because, we never went back in the house after that morning.
Because it just seemed like the new operating machine that they had could go back that far.
Yeah.
Maybe they could go in and extract some for where she was found, perhaps.
That's a great question and great observation. Yeah, the machine that we highlighted here digs 66 times more, can gather more DNA from a site versus swabbing. We have time for one more question.
Yeah, I'm a father, and I actually remember when this happened. My daughter was 6 years old, and it was very touching, and I don't think I could have handled it as well as you did. I commend you for it, and I really hope to find out who did
Thank
this.
you. No, I've experienced, I hate to admit it, 81 years old. So I've had a life of ups and downs, as I know all of you have. That's one thing I've learned, that everybody's carrying a burden that's tough to carry. But the loss of a child is the worst.
I just wish you the best. I really, I'm a lot like these other people up here. I think the police dropped the ball. They've lost it. Yep. They're not going to recover.
I think we could get a unanimous verdict on that.
They're not going to admit it, and they're not going to do anything. You're going to pass away. Everybody's going to go on, and it's going to go away.
Go away. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
John
much.
Ramsey, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Good luck in getting the answer and the justice for JonBenet.
Thank you.
And keep banging the drum. Keep banging the drum.
We will.
All right. That's it for tonight. Thank you all for watching CrimeCon 2025. If you haven't been to it, you have to come. The people here are amazing. The experts, the stories that you hear are amazing. I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll see you next time. Thank you for coming by. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Great to meet you. Thank you. You two are stars. Stars. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Good job. Excellent.
There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.